Ethan Miller was only 9 years old when he learned that hunger does not wait. He lived with his mother, Karen, in a run-down apartment complex on the outskirts of Cleveland, Ohio. The building leaned with age, its walls stained by water and time. Inside their small unit, the air always felt heavy. Karen spent most of her days lying on a thin mattress pushed against the wall, breathing with effort as if each breath demanded permission. Her inhaler was empty. The medicine bottle on the nightstand held only a few pills. Before sunrise, Ethan slipped out quietly. He checked on his mother one last time, pulled the blanket higher on her shoulders, and swallowed the fear rising in his chest. He carried an old rope and a small pocket knife. Not a weapon, a tool. That was how he justified it. Every morning he walked toward the wooded area behind the neighborhood. Local bakeries paid cash for firewood. Firewood became money. Money became medicine. Dreams were a luxury Ethan could not afford. The cold morning air stung his face as he crossed empty streets. At the corner bakery, sometimes someone handed him a day-old roll if he didn't look desperate. Ethan had learned to keep his face calm. Desperation invited suspicion. Calmness earned tolerance. With narrow shoulders already tired beyond his years, he entered the woods just as the sky began to lighten. Hours passed as he snapped branches, dragged logs, and tied bundles with numb fingers. Sap stuck to his hands. His arms burned. In his mind, he saw his mother coughing, trying to sit up, pretending she was fine. That image pushed him deeper into the woods than usual. Then the forest changed. The birds went silent. The wind faded. The quiet felt deliberate, heavy, like the world had lowered its voice. Ethan stopped. He heard a sound again, not an animal, something softer, fabric scraping against bark. His heart pounded. He told himself to turn back. He didn't. Carefully, he stepped around dry leaves, holding his breath. Through a thin line of trees, he saw her. A woman was tied upright to a large oak tree. Thick rope wrapped around her wrists and torso. Her coat was torn. Her hair clung to her face. One eye was swollen, nearly shut. Her knees shook as she sagged against the rope, like it was the only thing keeping her from falling. Her chest barely moved. Ethan's first instinct was fear, pure and immediate. He had heard the stories. A poor kid found near a hurt woman never ended well. He took a step back. Then he noticed her breathing, shallow and uneven. He thought of his mother gasping for air at night. His throat tightened. He looked around. No cars, no voices, just trees and silence. Ethan stepped forward, hands shaking. The pocket knife slipped the first time, scraping the bark. The sound made his chest tighten. He tried again, slower, sawing carefully until the rope loosened. The woman collapsed forward. Ethan caught her under the arms, surprised by how light she felt, and lowered her onto the leaves. Her breathing rattled. Each breath sounded like it might be her last. He remembered something an old man once yelled outside a free clinic. Tilt the head, clear the mouth, don't block the air. Ethan knelt beside her, turned her head, wiped blood and saliva with his sleeve. His hands were clumsy, numb from cold and fear. She coughed, weak, wet, alive. Relief flooded him, followed immediately by panic. He knew he couldn't stay. Staying meant questions. Questions meant trouble. He ran toward the road, waving his arms, his voice cracking as he shouted for help. Minutes later, sirens cut through the morning. Paramedics rushed past him without slowing. Police followed. An officer grabbed Ethan's arm hard, too hard. Questions came fast and sharp. Why were you there? What's the knife for? Where did the rope come from? The knife was taken from his pocket. The rope became evidence. As the woman was loaded into an ambulance, Ethan was placed in the back of a patrol car. The door shut with a heavy, final sound. As the sun rose, Ethan watched the ambulance disappear down the road. Everything he had done to save a life suddenly felt like it didn't matter at all. Ethan sat in a cold interview room at the police station while time dragged forward in slow, heavy minutes. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, each sound landing in his chest. One officer came in, asked questions, and left. Another returned with the same questions, only sharper. Why were you in the woods? Who gave you the rope? Why were you carrying a knife? Ethan tried to explain, but his words tangled together. The more he spoke, the less convinced they seemed. His thoughts stayed with his mother, Karen, alone in the apartment, her breathing, the empty inhaler. He wondered if anyone had told her where he was, or if she was lying there waiting, afraid. No one mentioned calling her. To them, Ethan was just a dirty, exhausted kid in the wrong place at the wrong time. The fact that he had saved a life did not seem to exist. Across town, in a quiet hospital room, Sarah Whitman slowly regained consciousness. Her throat burned, her wrists throbbed. When she tried to move, pain spread through her body. Memories returned in broken pieces. Her car stopping on a narrow road, two men approaching, hands pulling her out, rope tightening, the tree, the crushing pressure in her chest, then a young face above her, scared but determined. She asked for water. A nurse brought it. Then Sarah asked the question that changed everything. Where is the boy? The nurse hesitated and said the police were still sorting things out. Sarah's jaw tightened. She remembered clearly. Without that boy, she would be dead. When detectives arrived, they asked about the attack. Sarah answered, but her patience faded quickly. She repeated her question. Where is the boy who cut me down? One detective explained that the child was being held for questioning. The word held didn't sit right. Sarah pushed herself upright despite the pain. She said firmly that the boy had saved her life, that he did not harm her, that he found her tied up and freed her. The room fell silent. One officer looked away. Another wrote quickly. Then Sarah remembered something important. Her car, the dashboard camera. The detectives exchanged looks. The camera had been recovered. It was damaged, but possibly usable. Sarah insisted they check it. When the footage appeared on the screen, the tone in the room shifted. The video showed her car stopped on a quiet stretch of road. Two men approached. One leaned toward the windshield. His neck turned slightly. A tattoo filled the frame. The detectives froze the image. That mark was familiar. It matched a group connected to multiple violent robberies in the area. Names were spoken, phones rang, urgency replaced doubt. Using the location data from Sarah's stolen phone, they traced a signal to an abandoned warehouse near the city limits. A team moved quickly, without sirens. Back at the station, Ethan remained in the same room, exhausted and stiff. He had not slept since before dawn. He heard hurried footsteps in the hallway, doors opening and closing, voices tense and sharp. Something was happening, but no one explained it to him. Hours later, an officer entered and removed his handcuffs without meeting his eyes. He said there was new information. He said Ethan was free to go. Ethan stood slowly, waiting for the catch. It never came. There was no apology, no explanation. At the hospital, Sarah demanded to see Ethan. When he entered her room, small and worn down, she reached for his hand without hesitation. She told him he was brave. She told him he had saved her life. For the first time since the woods, Ethan felt that someone truly believed him. The story didn't stay quiet for long. Before Ethan could return to anything resembling normal life, rumors began spreading through the neighborhood and online. Some people called him a hero. Others asked why a kid like him was alone in the woods. Doubt twisted quickly into suspicion. Gratitude faded faster than judgment ever did. At the police station, the tone had shifted, but not enough. Officers spoke more carefully now, choosing words like paperwork and protocol. No one admitted fault. No one said sorry, as if keeping a 9-year-old locked in a room overnight was just an inconvenience. Ethan felt it in his chest. He didn't want revenge. He just wanted to understand why doing the right thing almost ruined him. Sarah noticed everything. From her hospital bed and later from home, she asked questions, names, times, decisions. She didn't raise her voice. Her calm made people uneasy. She wanted to know who decided to hold a child without a guardian, who saw a rescue and chose suspicion instead. The answers came short and defensive, hidden behind policy language. Ethan returned home. His mother pulled him into a weak embrace, shaking as much as he was. Relief washed over them. Then reality settled back in. Bills still waited. Medicine was still scarce. And now there were looks. Neighbors who avoided eye contact, whispers in the hallway. Ethan felt a shame he didn't understand. School became harder. Some kids repeated what they heard at home. Teachers spoke softly, carefully, like he might break. Ethan stopped raising his hand, stopped asking questions. Fear took the place of curiosity. Silence felt safer. Sarah didn't forget. She visited the apartment complex herself. She saw the cracked walls, the thin mattress, the empty inhaler on the table. Something hardened in her expression. Not anger for what happened to her, but for what had been happening to Ethan long before the woods. Quietly, she began to act. She spoke to doctors, social workers, lawyers. No cameras, no interviews. Ethan's mother received proper medical care. Prescriptions were filled, follow-ups were scheduled. For the first time in years, Karen slept without fearing the next attack on her lungs. Then came the lowest blow. A local news site published a rushed article. The headline focused on Ethan being detained, not on the life he saved. The photo was blurry, taken from far away. The comments filled fast. Old assumptions, quick judgments. Ethan read it alone. Every word pushed him back into the forest, into the silence, into doubt. Sarah responded simply, a short statement. She said she was alive because of Ethan. She said the treatment of that child was unacceptable. She said accountability mattered. Within hours, an internal review was announced. Officers were reassigned, procedures reopened. No press conference, no public apology. That night, Ethan lay awake on the mattress beside his mother, staring at the ceiling. He thought about the rope, the tree, the moment he almost turned away. For the first time, he questioned not his actions, but whether courage was worth the cost. The change did not arrive with applause or public praise. It came quietly, through decisions made behind closed doors and actions that slowly reshaped Ethan's life. The internal investigation continued. Reports were reviewed carefully. Body camera footage was examined. Procedures that once hid behind routine were challenged. There were no dramatic announcements, but there were corrections that could no longer be ignored. Sarah returned to the hospital one final time to remove her stitches and close that chapter of her recovery. Before leaving, she asked to see Ethan again. When he walked into the room, he looked smaller than she remembered, worn down by days that had aged him too quickly. She smiled gently and thanked him once more, not with grand promises or speeches, but with honesty. She told him he had done the right thing when it was frightening and risky. She told him many adults would have walked away. Ethan didn't know what to say. He nodded, holding on to her words as if they were something fragile but important. For the first time, he felt sure that his choice had meaning. Real changes followed. Sarah offered Ethan's mother a job through her company, stable hours, health benefits, flexibility that respected illness instead of punishing it. It wasn't charity, it was dignity. Soon, the refrigerator wasn't empty. Prescriptions were filled on time. The fear that had ruled their nights slowly loosened its grip. Karen's health improved step by step. Her breathing grew steadier. The coughing eased. She began to sleep through the night. She came home tired from work in a way that felt safe, not terrifying. The apartment felt lighter, calmer, like a place meant for living instead of surviving. At school, administrators stepped in. Old absences were reviewed. Learning gaps were understood for what they were, signs of hardship, not lack of ability. Ethan received tutoring and support instead of punishment. Teachers spoke to him directly, not around him. He began raising his hand again. He learned that questions were not traps. Sarah quietly funded an educational program for children facing similar struggles. No names attached, no photos, just opportunity. She wanted impact, not attention. In the neighborhood, attitudes shifted. Whispers faded. The bakery stopped charging for firewood. Sometimes a paper bag of bread appeared at closing time with a simple smile. Small gestures, but heavy with respect. Months passed. Ethan no longer woke before dawn to enter the woods. The forest returned to being just trees. Still, sometimes he walked past and remembered the silence, the rope, the moment fear almost won. He understood something then. Saving someone does not change the whole world. It changes the path you walk inside it. Ethan grew with that truth. He did not become famous. He did not become a symbol. He became a boy who knew who he was. And in a world quick to judge, that knowledge was a powerful beginning. If this story moved you, leave a comment sharing what you would have done in his place. Follow the channel for more stories that prove courage still matters.